would be in the eye of the beholder. But how many of you grew up with a set of parents that never smiled? How many of you grew up in a family with a lot of dysfunction? How many of you grew up in a situation that there wasn't a lot of warmth? There was a lot of chaos, a lot of drama, and a lot of anger, and a lot of the joy of life got squeezed out of you. Now, if that is you and you've carried some of those feelings from your past into your present, isn't it time you let go? Smile and the world smiles with you. Snore and you sleep alone. An old statement that rings true when it comes to the art of connecting. So the easiest way, number one, to connect with someone is a smile. And if someone smiles at you and you smile back, well, that's a connection. A connection is beginning. The race is on. The second way we connect with people is through our eyes. Eye contact. Eye movement. If you ever looked at someone and before you could even smile, they looked down at their feet, well, that was an instant disconnection. But by being able to smile at someone and lift your eyes or move your eyes, it's like having a whole conversation. Way number three is through your body language. And if you're very stiff and erect and your arms are very rigid, or how about having your arms crossed? And how about having your legs crossed? Are you one of these people that's at an event, a workshop, or any kind of function, and you say, well, this is natural? Actually, it's not natural. It sends a body signal that I'm closed off. It also cuts off your energy, your qigong in Chinese culture. That would be emotional, etheric energy. And if your arms are folded, now a good way to change some of this, to change your body language, and there's a couple of exercises that you can do, very simple ones. I mean, you can take yoga, which is a good way to start to break some of this. There's a whole new yoga that's catching on around the world. It's called Bikram yoga, and that is done at 105 degrees in a yoga studio. And man, you will virtually practice the art of releasing in that type of experience. There's Tai Chi, there's martial arts, there's also hypnotherapy, there's aromatherapy. Any of these situations can allow you to change your body language, but nothing will assist you more than learning how to breathe, taking a very deep breath from deep down in the diaphragm, below the diaphragm of your stomach, and then even going deeper below your stomach into your core muscles where your groin is. Now, your core muscles and your groin is where all your power is. Now, if you ever played baseball or softball or ran track or played football or wrestled or did any kind of competitive sport, hockey, field hockey, lacrosse, any of these sports, you couldn't possibly stand straight up and erect. You would have to have some body language. You learn to dangle your arms. You move your shoulders. And if you're listening to this at home, you may want to practice some of this. You take a deep breath and you just jangle your arms. You take a deep breath from deep in your diaphragm and you start to find your real voice, your inner power, that real voice that you've never had the ability or been given the permission to use. And people who are great connectors, they're able to do this very, very frequently. Now, your stance, the way you stand, is also going to be important to the energy that you emit. If you stand straight up and you're very rigid, then if someone asks you a question, the first word out of your mouth will be usually followed by well. Now, words like nah, yeah, those aren't really words. They are sounds. And these are words you want to eliminate from your vocabulary because they don't mean anything. Oftentimes we start a sentence, but it's not really even a sentence because it's not a word. How can you start a word without a sentence? Because grammatically, it's not correct. Now, if your word is your law, isn't it important that you start to use a series of words that will empower not only you, but can empower the people that we are connecting with or that you are connecting with. And to be a connector, connectors have great energy. Now, your footwork. Now, if you're right-handed, if you raise your right hand and you look down at your feet, usually your feet are going to be flat-footed. That's how most of society stands. If you play any athletic sport or any athletic endeavor, if you're right-handed, you always lead with your left foot, and your right foot is always at the instep of your left foot. Now, if you start to stand like that in life and you start to talk like that in life, and you start to talk with your hands, now you're exhibiting number 5, body language. And body language is very, very important to connecting. Early in my career, I used to sit in the front row of every motivational and inspirational event I ever attended. I learned very quickly that those were the $1 million seats. So I would be sure to be the first one sitting in front of the door because I didn't want to miss out on anything a millionaire had to say. So by sitting in the front row, I also learned real quickly, wow, body language, body signals, body cues. I used to watch the great Jim Rohn from the first row. I've seen some of the most exceptional speakers in the world, and sometimes I wouldn't even hear what they said. I would hear what they say by just following their body language. They would have a whole different level of communication just in the way they used their hands, the way they created their flow, the way they stood, how relaxed they were. Then you could also see people who weren't real relaxed. You could see amateur speakers versus the professionals. So eye contact, a smile, a series of words, body language, the way we stand, the energy we send, the unconscious messages that we send, these are all a huge part of connecting. Now, the most efficient way to connect is through persuasion. There are 6 primary ways that we get people to respond. Number 1, by legal means. Number 2, with money. Number 3, through the lure of the physical. This means we get seduced. Through the lure of physical beauty, we get seduced. Through sex and or sex appeal. Number 4, through emotional force. We get controlled by someone and we get seduced by someone's controlling attitude. Number 5, by physical force. And number 6, by persuasion. I'll say them again real quickly. Number 1, by legal means. Number 2, with money. Number 3, through the lure of physical beauty. Number 4, through emotional force. Number 5, through physical force. And number 6, through persuasion. Persuasion is the most common means to get people to collaborate of any type of the 6 ways I just listed. This is why, if you make a bad first impression, you end up having to resort to one of the other ways to create a desired outcome. You never get a second chance to create a first impression. Now, that doesn't always ring true, but in a lot of cases it is. Oftentimes, if we create what we consider to be a bad first impression, we end up our self-talk goes, oh, I can't believe I did this again. Oh, I blew it. Oh, I'll never get a second chance. I won't get that job. I won't get the promotion. And sometimes that's good because we are firing ourselves from our jobs. Now, Winston Churchill, the great Winston Churchill, called persuasion the worst form of social control except for all the others. Aristotle stated that for persuasion to be effective, 3 elements must be present: trust, logic, and emotion. To be persuasive, you must be present. That means in the now, in your body, in the moment, now o'clock. Trust, intuition, and logic, emotion. This is why creating a good